Vegas lights shine bright, bad boys sitting pretty. Michael, Steve, Rob running things in Sin City. Podcast blazing truth, rhyming hard and witty. Three kings on the mic, Vegas life gets gritty. Matt Michaels dropping bombs, quick wit, no filter. Sin City's own, blending gold with the silver. Steve taking notes, every word's a thriller. Rob's on the tracks, beats cold like a chiller. Bad Boys a podcast, raw truth they broadcast. Speaking facts so fast, haters coming dead last. Las Vegas legends, three amigos top class. Mic in hand, setting fire, never outclassed.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Vegas Badboyz of podcasting. I'm Matt Michaels, along with Sin City Steve and Rob Bossoleri. And this week, we are starting our special series throughout the year. We'll have these episodes going on. We're going to do episodes regarding our top 30 female wrestlers of all time. That's our personal favorites. And this starts our top 50 male wrestlers of all time. And again, these are our personal favorites. There's no criteria. It could be a person. It could be a group. It could be many people within a group. It could be people in a tag team, and et cetera, et cetera. It's just what we feel are our personal favorites. And we're starting with our top 50 male wrestlers here. So this is going to be number 50 through 41 for each of us. And we're going to start it off with number 50 for Rob.
Booker T.
Or Will Ospreay, as you told me to change it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's
why I said, look at the screen, Rob, and you'll see the guy.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah, I forgot he did change that right after that. Yes, Will Ospreay, because I almost forgot him. So, yeah. I'm a comic.
Anything to say about Will Ospreay and why you like him?
Yes, Will Ospreay
Do you remember how to do podcasting?
No, my brain shut down because I forgot he did ask you to change that. And you threw me off with the picture. The reason why I actually did a Booker T, and then I'm like, wait a minute, Will Ospreay's done more. I find Booker T was a six-time WWE champion, but what I found was, man, Will Ospreay is crossing over and really is a much more dynamic wrestler in the ring. Cuts good promos. I like what he has done for New Japan. I like him coming over to AEW. I like the quality of the matches, and I like the intensity. So that's why I bumped Booker T for him.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Now that's kind of been cleared up. I appreciate that.
You threw me off when I had the picture. I was like, I had, because I was looking at my old list. I changed the list, and yeah.
That's why I said I'm throwing off the pictures. Just look at the screen. That's worked. Hey, Steve.
Hey.
Oh, no, that's 41.
I feel better now.
Yeah, there you go. But this is your 50.
All right. That's right. So number 50, I have Sami Zayn. So obviously, the work that he did on the indies, or as I should say, the work that El Generico did on the indies, especially in PWG and ROH, instantly endeared him as a fan favorite. And then obviously running through WWE's pipeline of NXT to the main roster, winning the NXT championship, winning the Intercontinental Championship 4 times, undisputed WWE Tag Team Champion with Kevin Owens, obviously his time in the Bloodline, and of course his advocacy work. He's definitely a tremendous example of not only in-ring matters, but what you do outside of the ring matters. So he definitely needed a spot on this list.
Yeah, and he's the most important advocate of Brock Lesnar, right? Oh, no. All right, number 50 for me is Supreme. Supreme was an XPW legend and Southern California. Just everyone, we just love the man. Is someone who in the late 90s, early 2000s innovated the hardcore style of wrestling. He wasn't just doing blood and guts to do blood and guts. He actually was someone who innovated how to use that to tell the stories He influenced so many young wrestlers, and of course, passed away way too soon a few years ago, and is missed throughout the wrestling community. And again, just huge respect to always have for Supreme. My number 49 is another man who passed away way too young, the adorable Adrian Adonis. When Adrian Adonis started, he was a leather-clad East Coast biker type dude who teamed with Jesse Ventura, the East-West connection, as a tag team. When he got to the WWE, he had that gimmick for a little bit, and when they re-brought him in, he was now kind of, shall we say, effeminate, to say the least. He had a flower shop segment. He did some incredible work with, a heel character that in the 1980s, for as much as Goldust was looked at as androgynous and very, well, is he gay? Is he not gay? Blah, blah. Adrian Adonis was pretty clearly a gay stereotype character that was treated as a heel, and they had no quips about it. They just went with it. And man, that WrestleMania 3 match where Piper's last retirement match, where he put Adonis out, and then Beefcake comes down and shaves Adonis's head in the hair versus hair match, and it invented the barber character, as well as was Adrian's farewell to the WWE, essentially. And unfortunately, died in that car accident only about a year later. So, all right, Steve, number 49.
All right, number 49 is Kota Ibushi. A big reason why I put Kota on this list is obviously his time in New Japan. If you're not a fan of Japanese wrestling, just as a heads up, spoiler warning, a few of these names, yeah, you're going to be like, what the fuck has this guy done? But a couple of things. So Kota started off in DDT in 2004, was a multi-time champion there, and then joined New Japan Pro Wrestling, was a part of the Golden Lovers tag team with Kenny Omega, and then went back to New Japan, claiming the IWGP Heavyweight Championship and also the inaugural IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. He did leave New Japan in 2023, and unfortunately he's had some serious health issues the last couple of years, but he is working on getting himself back into ring shape, so hopefully Kota Ibushi can get back soon.
And Rob, you're 49.
Oh, man, Billy Gunn. I like how this guy went from Attitude Era tag guy, finds a way to stay relevant and reinvent himself over the years. That was a big deal for me. A lot of the guys in Billy Gunn's age group are gone. They're not wrestling anymore, and for good reason. They don't have it. They don't look good. They don't want to. They don't want to put themselves through that. This guy, to me, he could have easily rested on his laurels with DX and New Age Outlaws. He tried to get a second gust of wind going to TNA, and it didn't quite take. He had different pairings over the years, and then shows up on AEW and kind of sits in the background with his sons. And I went, all right, whatever. And then he finds himself in matches, and I said, man, got to give this guy some W's, because look at him. He has the physique. I can only imagine what he's injected into himself, but for fuck's sake, he sells. He sells. And my number one thing about anything wrestling is I want to be entertained, and the guy continues to entertain. So he definitely deserves to be on the list. Fucking guns up, scissors out. Scissor me daddy ass.
Well, you know what? Let's go to your 48.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Because by far another person who is insanely entertaining, very humble guy. These two guys were the backbone of D-Generation X in many ways. Well, maybe not the backbone, but fucking A. They were synonymous with Attitude Era, and his work with R-Truth was great too. His tag team matches with R-Killings were great. R-Truth is an example. Some guy doesn't age, but fucking A, man, another person who just brought it. And I always liked anybody, him and Mr. Anderson, that announcing that he would do to open up every one of those events. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, D-Generation X proudly present, and you're just like drawn in. The presentation is everything in wrestling, and Jesse James had it. And on a personal note, meeting them with China should almost be on this list because she was one of the better men's wrestlers, dare I say. And I'm not trying to be facetious. Just entertaining. And actually one of the more humble guys that I've ever met. And meeting meeting a wrestler, the best experience meeting a wrestler was Jesse James. So thank you, Mr. Kip.
And my number 48 is George the Animal Steel. A lot of my wrestling list comes from guys that, for me, as a kid, influenced what I liked. And to have a guy who basically only said a couple things and would bite open turnbuckles and rub it in people's eyes and stalked Elizabeth and tried to kidnap her and helped Steamboat win the Intercontinental Championship. It was the height of 80s wrestling, and exactly what made the WWF the product that caught all the attention of the kids. And this was a guy who was a heel in the 70s and in the early 80s, and then Captain Lou was the one who saved him and made him into a hero, and it just took. And who could forget him in Ed Wood, playing the part of Tor, the former wrestler turned actor for Plan 9 from Outer Space. And the whole time the guy worked as a wrestler, he was a gym teacher in Michigan. And that was his primary career. So just someone that is fascinating and amazing. All right, Steve, you're 48.
All right, number 48 is Shingo Takagi. Shingo obviously burst onto the scene, started with Dragon Gate, and held the Open the Dream Gate Championship. Was a Rookie of the Year according to your favorite publication, Michaels, the Wrestling Observer newsletter in 2005. He brought a very, very high intensity and was the embodiment of strong style. He brought that every single match that he's been in. That's been essentially one of his main signatures. He's actually been a 5-time never open weight champion in New Japan, as well as a 1-time IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, defeating Kazuchika Okada in 2021. So he definitely has a lot more that he can do, and it's really cool to see what the Japanese Dragon is doing right now as well.
And for me, number 47 is Christopher Daniels. Chris is a friend and someone who I've always looked up to. Everyone in Southern California who trained, who's done pro wrestling, has basically it's 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon with Chris Daniels. Chris has been with every major company, for the most part, at some point in his career. When I was with UPW, that's when Chris got a shot at WCW and went over the top rope and broke his shoulder. And, that was a short-lived thing. And then they went out of business. So, He literally had bad breaks throughout his career, but is one of the reasons that guys like Kazarian and Scorpio Sky, have had their careers that have been so magnificent. Chris was one of the head trainers at UPW as well for advanced classes. So it's just what he's done, how entertaining he is. The evolution of the fallen angel character throughout the years has been remarkable. And, you just can't go wrong with someone of that experience and that influence, which has, just speechless. And thank God, he's at a point where we think he's wrestled his last match and he can finally kind of, just settle into that role backstage at AEW for, as long as he wants, and continue to influence people. And man, great family guy. I can't believe his daughters are almost into their 20s now. So it's amazing. Wow. Okay, Rob, number 47.
Oh man, Yeats. Love what we see going on here. Love the bloodline stuff. Love reinventing characters and when they can break off and do their own thing. Absolutely love anything to do with the Usos, either one of them. I'm just super happy about that. So keep it simple on that.
Steve, 47.
All right. Number 47. So at 48, I had the Japanese Dragon, but at number 47, I have simply the Dragon, Tatsumi Fujinami. If we're talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling, he is somebody that helped bring New Japan into the forefront. He was initially trained by Antonio Inoki, and he created and brought the innovation to moves. Creating moves that are commonly used today, like the Dragon Suplex and the Dragon Sleeper. So obviously his impact is still being felt today. He also held the WWF Junior Heavyweight Championship, as well as simultaneously holding the NWA World Heavyweight Championship and the IWGP Heavyweight Championship simultaneously after defeating Ric Flair in 1991. And obviously his feuds with Vader and Riki Choshu were huge. He was also inducted into the WWF WWE Hall of Fame in 2015.
That's quite an astounding resume. And this guy here, Rob, you're 46. He's still building his resume.
Yeah,
right?
this is the bigger of the two brothers. I like what Jimmy was able to do with his career, but Jey Uso is all of the tag team accolades and the solo career. Jimmy a few times tried to break off, but Jey is the one who is really come out ahead. As we're doing all this, and I don't know when, to be honest, when we're gonna bring this out to the crowd, we could see World Heavyweight
next week. So literally on Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh, duh.
If you listen to the last, end of our show,
I'm weaving in and I got like 90 things on my mind. So, comic. Super Bowl. No, he's had a great career. And I like the idea that we could have a world heavyweight champion that's not Roman Reigns. I like that he's been able to just get over with the crowd and maybe not reinvent himself, but we've all rediscovered him because he kept his energy up. He really hasn't changed much about himself over the years, but he's kept his energy up, reached out to the crowd, and was persistent and consistent in the way he delivers himself. And he has added some moves to his repertoire as well. Just an incredible growth with Jey Uso. And deserves to be on the list.
All right, my 46 is the blanketed LWO. And this is where I say anything goes on this particular list. It's an easy way to cover quite a few guys. And in this case, for me, it's Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio kind of put into this. Of course, you have had other LWO, like the current members in the WWE, or, guys from WCW, including Chavo. And, the thing is, though, is again, Eddie was always entertaining. I remember going to a house show in LA, and Eddie was literally taking the tag rope and sliding it down to the middle of the ring to make legal tags. He would just do just so much fun stuff. And Ray has been a staple, obviously, for years. And of course, my favorite Ray moment is him getting darted into that truck with the NWO. But I think Ray's best moment of his life was creating Dom. And now we got Dirty Dom in this mix too, who is one of my favorite, most entertaining.
Excuse me, I haven't finished.
And of course, Vicky, Vicky, who I love dearly, friend of the show. And of course, Eddie's daughter, Shaw, who's amazing. Her husband, Matt, who is, in NXT and is currently, announcer on TNA. I love them to death. And it just, overall, the way that they've all affected all of us is just amazing and entertaining. I love them to no extent. All right, Steve, big guy for you here. Number 46.
Vader time. All right, so yeah, I've mentioned Fujinami and his feuds on the last entry. We're talking about Vader, and yeah, he revitalized what it meant to be a big man in the business. Obviously, his career in New Japan Pro Wrestling, WCW, WWF, and All Japan Pro Wrestling, where obviously performing a moonsault at 450 pounds was unheard of. Vader was a 3-time champion of both WCW and also held the IWGP World Championship 3 times. He was he brought the intensity. His feuds with Sting, Ric Flair, Mick Foley were all just amazing to watch. And obviously his moves to WWF in '96, definitely less successful due to politics, injuries, that kind of stuff. But thankfully, he was inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame in 2022.
Absolutely. And speaking of WWE Hall of Famers, your number 45.
Number 45 is the whole fucking show, Rob Van Dam. Yeah, this guy was Mr. ECW. People can say Tommy Dreamer was, the face of ECW, the original iteration of it. But no, Rob Van Dam was the guy in ECW. I mean, people are still doing the thumbs. And just recently at the Royal Rumble in Indianapolis, this guy got an extremely loud pop from the crowd when it was announced that he was there. Of course, multiple-time ECW World Champion. He also held the WWE Championship for about a cup of coffee. Unfortunately, that didn't end up the way that it should have, thanks to the Ohio State Patrol. Busting him and Sabu driving the roads with questionable substances in the vehicle. But he actually held that WWE Championship and the ECW World Championship simultaneously, and moves his Jesus Christ. He's left a long-lasting legacy with his innovation in the ring. The 5-star frog splash, the Van Daminator, even the Van Terminator. And outside of the ring, he's been extremely vocal in his, advocacy for cannabis legalization. So, again, work outside of the ring.
And he's a local. We can find him anytime. Go down the street and hang with him.
Friend of the show as well. All right, Rob, number 45
Definitely.
for you.
Gunther, this guy is incredible. This guy comes into NXT looking like a tub of lard and comes out the other end. Just incredible physique, and he is the example of hard work paying off. I cannot give you the exact stat, but he said he's been the bulk of his WWE career is as a champion.
Yep.
I don't know the exact numbers, but he has been a champion for the bulk of his career. Incredible matches, incredible work ethic, very humble behind the scenes. Listen to interviews with him. This is the quintessential and just consummate performer, and deserves all of the accolades that he gets. I don't even want to consider him necessarily a heel. He's just very cocky, arrogant, and well deserved. And by far one of the best world heavyweight champions that you could ever hope to have in a company.
Yeah, and that match with him and Dragunov for NXT UK. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
One of the best matches ever done. All right, for me, number 45 is the Dudley family. So the first time I really focused in on the Dudleys was at Heatwave 98. This was about a year before he came into WWE, and they cut one of the most scathing promos on a pay-per-view with some of the most foul language, and it was just fucking insane. And then they go into a match in which they set tables on fire. I think it was against Axel and Balls. And oh my god, just some of the greatest stuff in ECW. Big Dick Dudley, XPW. Once he left ECW, he was one of the first guys that Rob brought into XPW. And he actually wrestled my first trainer at UPW for XPW, the first XPW heavyweight champion, Damian Steele was Chris Fisher's name. Just then Spike coming in and them incorporating him, and then eventually incorporating them into the WWE. All three of them. In front of the show, sign guy Dudley Lou is one of the good guys. Does great work with TNA behind the scenes, and of course, who can forget the vocal stylings of Joel Gertner?
Well.
Yeah. And it's amazing too, because the Dudleys obviously are in the Hall of Fame. But if you watch the early Dudleys from their first couple months in the WWE until they evolved into what they became with Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys, what's fascinating is they took it and they did a watered down version of Stuttering Bubba and Devon as the brother who would slap him to get the words out. And they took that and took it to the next level and evolved it. And, anytime you think of the what's up, and then doing the headbutt to the balls and the 3D through the table and all that. Just classic and Bubba Ray still today, man. Busted open and what he's doing, what he's been doing with TNA and what he's doing.
Aces and eights.
And Aces and Eights. The whole reason they existed was because it was Bubba Ray. You can't go wrong, can you?
I screwed you, and I definitely screwed your daughter.
That's right, Brooke. All right. Rob, number 44 for you.
I gotta love this guy. He's another one. He is so damn incredible in the ring, and he really is a rock star, Shinsuke Nakamura. I can't even think of how many times he won gold over in New Japan Pro Wrestling, comes over to WWE. I would have liked to have seen him have a world heavyweight belt by now, but fuck it. He is incredibly interesting. And when he got to a point where the ability to cut a promo was difficult, he found ways to work around that. Sorry, no speak English. The stuff they're doing where they had it more cinematic with the subtext below him. His moveset in the ring is just incredible. There's nobody that moves quite like he does. the amount of kicks. And you have to remember, going from new NJPW, will they'll do like 4 finishers in a row, you know, and then coming to WWE and slowing down to a degree by comparison to how they do it NJPW. The promos he's had, the stuff he's doing right now, where he's coming in as an evil shogun, fucking dynamic wrestler, really, really dynamic and underrated for WWE purposes wrestler. His feuds with Styles, just great. There's so much more they can do with him, and I hope they do. But that's why he's not a little bit higher on the list, or lower on the list, so to speak.
And Steve, you're 44. Look at that cute man.
Number 44 is Jeff Hardy. Obviously, you know, say what you will about Jeff's exploits outside of the ring, but in the ring, he had almost unmatched charisma. This guy innovated moves, and with things like the Swanton, showed everybody that he would do anything to win a damn match. This guy, literally, I know Penta does the whole Cero Miedo thing, but Jeff Hardy, yeah, he had no fear either. He would jump from virtually any space, as long as it meant picking up the win or, you know, punishing his opponent. He did hold the WWE Championship, various titles in TNA and Impact, but he did see the majority of his success with his brother Matt as part of the Hardy Boys tag team, winning the WWF and WWE World Tag Team Championship 6 times, also the Raw and SmackDown Championship once each. So, yeah, Jeff Hardy definitely deserves to be on this list.
Absolutely. And since we got you up here, number 43, look at that handsome man, too. Look at that smile on him.
Right? Yeah, man. AJ Styles at 43. They don't want none. This is a guy who a lot of people never thought that he would get his flowers and actually get into WWE. And then he joined WWE in 2016. Before then, of course, was a legend in TNA and Impact, and then went on to hold the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. He actually won the IWGP Heavyweight Championship in his first match with the company, which is pretty interesting. He also wrestled on the Independents, of course, Ring of Honor, but in WWE, of course, he's been a 2-time WWE champion. And dude, this guy seemingly doesn't age. He was just in the Royal Rumble, made a surprise appearance there after coming back from injury. Looks great. Continues to make sure that his physical conditioning stays top notch. AJ Styles for sure on this list.
And Rob, number 43.
All right, man. We've got to get people, some big Japanese wrestlers, and one of my favorite was, if I'm not mistaken, the Human Buzzsaw Tajiri. And in the style of Great Muta, who was one of his trainers. I love the Mist. I used to, get up at morning, like fucking 3 a.m. and here's Tajiri with the green mist. And the amount of work that he did on ECW cannot be understated. He was one of those mainstay wrestlers, kind of by their standards, considering like you had Rob Van Dam types, but you could catch Tajiri at almost any show at any time, and you were guaranteed an excellent match. I'm not, if you haven't guessed, I don't have like all of the stats in my head as much as the rest of you do. But I thought it was one of their great champions, one of their great backbones, put so many people over, and just was another one of these wrestlers that goes on 20 years later and you still see him pop up here and there. And he's timeless. He really is a timeless ECW wrestler that transcended and was just an incredible talent.
Yeah, and some of the best work he did was the stuff he did with Regal as the assistant when Regal was the GM. The guy was funny too. which was remarkable about him. All right, number 43 for me, the Twin Towers, the Boss Man, and Akeem. Now, I go back, Akeem, before he was Akeem, the One Man Gang was absolutely one of my favorites when I was a kid. And it's a shame that the gang didn't get that type of run in the WWF. He was there specifically to, kind of put Hogan over. They never got a big build with him to the biggest main event status with Hogan. I think as the gang, WrestleMania 4 against Savage was probably his marquee moment. And then he went away, and then he comes back as an African. I don't know. All right. Sure. And he's with Slick, of course. And then you got the Boss Man. Big Bubba Rogers is now in the WWF as, the guard from Cobb County, Georgia, which he actually was. And, as heels, they were phenomenal. They set up that whole Saturday night's main event where Elizabeth got knocked off the apron. Hogan takes her backstage, leaves Savage to get his ass kicked for a while. And then when he comes back, Savage jumps off and goes back looking for Elizabeth. And that's when the Mega Powers exploded against each other. So they were key to that breakup. And then Boss Man goes and turns face and, has a good, about 3-year run there before leaving, going back to WCW in the NWO for a cup of tea. And then comes back to WWE as the enforcer for Vince in the corporation, and puts on the Hell in a Cell with Undertaker at WrestleMania, where he ends up getting hung, which, can't go wrong. He ends up working the program with Al Snow, where he eats Al Snow's dog, or makes Al Snow eat his dog. He's the one who was going against the Big Show and drove off with the Big Show's father's casket, having the Big Show chase it and calling him a bastard, and had the incredible dog pound Hell in a Cell match with Al Snow, where the dogs, all they did was shit outside the ring and hump each other. Boss Man's legacy is amazing in the business and was always entertaining to me. Speaking of entertainment, I guess my 44. Huh. How did I miss my 44? I don't know what happened with numbers. Anyway, let's say the Freebirds.
I see that all the time. This is why I'm in such trouble in life.
Right? The Freebirds, man. Fabulous Freebirds. You can't go wrong. They were just so entertaining. Their feud with the Von Erichs, of course. Jimmy Garvin and Michael Hayes in WCW were fascinatingly great. Bam Bam on his own, the matches that he did in Japan, some of the best strong style, brutal stuff. Just good stuff, man. And really just enjoyed the Freebirds and the Strut and Bad Street USA. And then, of course, Michael Hayes becomes Doc Hendricks and just kind of ruins your whole life. Like, really, guys? Really? Doc Hendricks? Really? Fuck you. Fuck you. All right, Steve. On that note, you're 42.
Yeah, 42. Rob, you mentioned this guy earlier as the trainer of Tajiri, but I got the Great Muta at 42. Obviously a legendary figure in pro wrestling. He debuted in the late 80s, became known for his really, really, at that time, pioneering blend of high-flying maneuvers, martial arts, and, of course, that green mist.
Yeah.
Obviously, his time in All Japan Pro Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, even stints in WCW. His feuds with Sting, with Tanahashi, they are forever ingrained in wrestling lore. And of course, Muta created the Muta scale. How much blood did someone lose in a match? Well, yeah. Where does it rank on the Muta scale? So, this guy definitely deserves to be on this list and deserves to be recognized.
Yeah, the great Muta. He was great.
He was great.
Yeah.
I'll say my 42, Abdullah the Butcher, another guy when you talk about blood and guts in Japan. And Abby had one hell of a career. I know he gets a little negative feedback for having hepatitis and putting guys at risk. But when you look at his career and you look at the innovation he did, the stuff he did with Brody, again, as a kid, these guys were monsters, man. I was monsters. And I always love seeing, it's one thing to see the technical wrestlers in Japan, the strong styles, the technical, that's one thing, because the crowd is so polite. They are so, but you see guys like Abby and they're going out there with Bruiser and they're going through the crowd. People are freaking out like they are going to get killed. And it's just so fun to watch them scatter like cockroaches because they're so afraid of these men. And that reality of how brutal these guys were, again, Bruiser Brody, Abdullah the Butcher, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, some of the best bleeders, Funk, because they knew how to tell a story with the blood and guts. And, that was great. Telling about.
I thought Stacy Keibler was a good bleeder.
Wow. Rob, here's your.
Or Trish Stratus.
42, Rob. Oh.
Oh, man. How can we ignore Kevin Steen? Kevin Steen, fight. Every time I watched Ring of Honor, I'm waiting for a match with him in it because it's just going to be fucking insane. The amount of violence, the amount of gore, the blood, and he's moving in the ring in a way that somebody his size shouldn't be able to, right. Which is just amazing to be able to do that. We think of Samoa Joe when we think of somebody who's big, who's that flexible, but he is. And then he comes to WWE, and one of the greatest things ever was John Cena once said to him in a match when Kevin was fighting for the American belt and John Cena was doing the open challenge. He goes, "Hey, kid, I know you're new." He goes, "No, I'm not new to wrestling. I've been doing this for years. I'm just new here." And he was one of those guys who could come out of the indies and people were like, "Know him. I know this guy. You don't have to explain who Kevin Steen is. We know who the fuck he is. This guy has balls. He has attitude. He is a heel. Anytime they put him out there as a baby face, I'm like, this is going to last 3 minutes. How is he going to fuck somebody over now? And the funniest thing he ever did was when he goes, "You know what, Kofi? I really feel bad about you. I really screwed you over, brother. I feel bad about it." But we know it's coming. We know it's coming. And he sells as a heel. He sells as a heel, and he can also be the obnoxious heel. The dare I say, like a baby face heel, where he's like the whining one when he's getting fired, and Kurt Angle goes, "Hey, here TNA's got openings." He can do the hat in hand. He's so versatile, and he does cut good promos. And here's what I appreciate about his characters over the years: he doesn't stay on a bad character long. If the way they're using him is not working out, he'll pivot quickly. He'll sit back for a while, write something new, and come back fresh for it. When they were doing that gimmick where he was just screaming indiscriminately, even as a babyface, when he was tagged up with Sami Zayn, they immediately were like, "This isn't working. We'll pivot. Heel turn. We'll pivot. Face again." He's so versatile and dynamic. So just completely unsung. Or maybe he is. That's why he's on my list.
All right, Steve, you're number 41, one of the biggest legends.
That's right. Number 41 is the one and only Nick Bockwinkel. Obviously, particularly known for his tenure in the AWA during the 70s and 80s. And of course, His relationship with Bobby the Brain Heenan was the blueprint for many of today's top heel acts, and how they act with a manager. His articulate promos were unreal, especially at the time. He was he was the prototypical heel in the business. No matter what, you hated this guy and you wanted to see him get his ass kicked. But the crazy thing is that he was unbelievable in the ring. From a technical aspect, this guy could go. So, obviously, if he was around in a later era, I think that he would be much more celebrated. But of course, his feuds with Vern Gagne, and especially being somebody that is credited with kind of jump-starting Hulkamania before it was Hulkamania. And he was recognized in the WCW Hall of Fame in 2001. But yeah, Nick Bockwinkel definitely deserves to be on this list.
Yeah, and a WWE Hall of Famer as well. So, and a Las Vegas Hall of Famer as well through FSW. And they continue the Nick Bockwinkel Memorial Battle Royal every year. Just an absolute legend all around. Okay, my 41 is Glenn Jacobs. Oh, man. Kane is an amazing character. Always, when you have someone who is a good wrestler, the thing is with him, everyone kind of, they just didn't know what to do with him. You had him as Isaac Yankem, then you had him as Fake Diesel, but they always knew the potential was there. And then coming up with this idea of The Undertaker has this brother, and that moment in Hell in a Cell, 1997, when that red hits and that music, the first notes hit, and Kane, it's like, holy shit, what is that thing? You never saw anything like it. And then they go on to do these matches between him and Taker, and the, just everything that was done with him in those first, 2 years where he can't talk, and then they give him a voice box. And he famously does the suck it with the DX, and you start getting personality through him to the point where eventually we have to unmask him. And then we see that this burned monster is really just smeared makeup face guy who has kind of weird, kind of cut hair and not cut hair.
Bad.
Yeah. I mean, but he got through that, right? It didn't kill him. And then you have him and Hunter, and you have his ex-girlfriend Katie Vick, who Hunter goes and puts on a Kane mask and fucks the corpse.
I screwed her brains out. Oh, that was so bad. And he's gonna
but again, he survives all that. He was that good of a wrestler. And then May 19th. What was May 19th? The release date for See No Evil. The WWE's major motion picture with the Maniac Kane. And man, just so many good things. And then his tag teams with X-Pac and RVD, and just the longevity of his career, everything he did with Show and Taker, and going on to be a mayor. Go figure. So just an extraordinary entertaining career for him. And speaking of extraordinarily entertaining, Rob, you're number 41.
Oh yeah, man. Ultimate freaking warrior. What can you say about this guy? This guy broke like the Hulk streak. And were there two of him? I don't know. That was the urban legend when I was a kid. There's two Ultimate Warriors. I was like a kid in the 80s and early 90s. Like, nah, man, there's another one, man. You don't know, man. He's going to show up on WCW, man. It's going to be Dirt Scott, man, the other Ultimate Warrior. Fucking great wrestler. Brick shithouse, if there ever was one. and the energy from that guy grabbing the ropes. I always remember all that shit. One of my favorite of all time. And what happens? He tragically passes the day he gets into the Hall of Fame. The day after the Hall of Fame, he fucking passes. Like, you can't even make that shit up. That was just fucking crazy. It was so traumatic that Matt left.
Exactly. I do have to say, as far as the Ultimate Warrior goes, I was fortunate enough to be in New Orleans for his Hall of Fame induction, and then the next day he's gone, and it's like, wow, that was insane. Like, what?
Yeah.
But this was the guy they chose to, like, put the belt on, over Hulk and try to bring the WWE into the 90s. I think what was that when he got the belt? 91? 1990. I was close.
Yep.
I was close.
6.
And it, he had such a big impact on that early night. He was the WWE guy for the 90s, for the early 90s, before we get to the Owen Hart, Bret the Hitman Hart and Shawn Michaels and all of that. Yeah. He was that transition from those two different eras. He's the bridge.
Well, there you have it, everyone. That is our favorite wrestlers of all time, numbers 50 to 41. Thank you for tuning in this week. We will again be presenting these throughout the year, and feel free to share some of your favorite wrestlers of all time as well. So, for the Vegas Badboyz, until next time, everyone.
With that, everybody, thank you for hanging out. We will we'll do it all again next week. Till then, happy wrestling.
Chips clinking, bright lights blinking, deep combos late night, none of that shrinking. Michael say it straight, Steve got the chutzpah, Rob smooth delivery, sharper than a jigsaw. Sin City's finest, knowledge that can find us. Pro wrestling, life lessons, wisdom redefine us.